All right. Good morning. And good morning to you, friends. This is Journey Home Meditation. Thank you for coming for the morning sit today. Let's have just a few moments before we begin, or as we begin. Let's begin with just a few moments of silence and some mindful breath. When I speak about silence, it's funny to even speak about silence. It doesn't mean a lack of sound. I know that that's a strange thing to think about, but oftentimes people think that to have a meditation practice, you need to be in a sensory deprivation tank of a room with no input, no stimulus, no sound, perfect temperature. That's not beneficial as a practice. It can be beneficial to have those experiences, but as a practice, if you are waiting for the world to be quiet, for you to feel silence, or if you're waiting for the world to stop moving so that you can experience stillness, you're going to be very frustrated with what you find. Silence and stillness in this case is a state of relaxation of the mind and the body so that you don't have a need to follow what you are hearing or to chase what you are feeling. To just allow these experiences to come through and sit with them with a calmness and an openness to explore. So let's have a few still moments of silence, even with the sound all around us. Take this time to begin to become aware of any places in your body that you're feeling tightness or tension when you breathe. And adjusting our bodies into a meditation posture is really just moving our bodies into a position to facilitate the breath. So gently straightening the spine, bringing the shoulder blades together just slightly in the back to open the chest, opening the shoulders. I find that facing my palms upward is just the right amount of twist on my shoulders to open up the chest. You can feel the subtle difference if you move your hands palm down or palm up. Just experiment. Play with the position that you feel is most beneficial to sit in silence with your breath. And the practice is going to be to move into breathing through our nose to the bottom of the belly. If you have impediments to this, that's okay. Breath is breath, and you're going to do it from the moment you're born until the moment you die. So finding a way to bring your awareness to the breath, no matter how you're breathing, is beneficial. But if you have the ability to breathe through the nose to the bottom of the belly, using the diaphragm, making the abdomen enlarge and contract with each breath, and allowing the chest to relax. Each one of these little steps along the path is a way to help us learn to breathe in a way that's most beneficial physiologically, but each of those steps is also a conscious step towards awareness of the breath. As you're making these small adjustments, you are bringing your attention to the shift and the change that you need to make. And that's already bringing you into that state of awareness. So the mantra, I guess, could be, you are already here. I am already here. With each of those steps, you are practicing awareness. So you're already here. Let's have a few breaths together. Breathing in, I'm already here. Breathing out, nowhere to go. I'm already here. Nothing to do. Breathing in, I'm already here. Pay attention to where your conscious focus is. Is it just behind your eyes? As you're breathing in, are you feeling the sensation of what's happening in your forehead, or Is it in your chest? Are you feeling the tension and the movement of the breath? Is it all the way at the bottom of your belly where the belly is rising and falling? And practice moving that conscious awareness around the body. Hmm. You know, some mornings I begin the practice with the few breaths, and it helps to give me focus breaths, and I can follow the line of thought, the train of thought that I was on, in my morning drive, or in when I'm writing a poem in the morning, or making coffee or tea, whatever it is. But then mornings like this morning, I have all these ideas of this would be good to bring into the practice today, this conversation, and then we take those breaths and my mind empties, which is good. It's a good feeling. And we were having a really great conversation before we started the sit that I think would be beneficial, and it's it's going to take me a moment to get back to that. But this week we've been talking about and practicing and meditating upon the concept of love everybody. Um, the difficulties specifically surrounding that. Um, and also really trying to meet um, in myself and in each of us what blocks we have that come up around love, around the concept of love, or the idea of love, or the experience we have of love, the way we have learned to define what we think love is. Um, and that gets really big. That becomes really wide open and oftentimes very subjective. And it's hard to be subjective and equanimous at the same time. To have an even view of ourselves and the world, while also having a subjective experience. And this is part of, I think, what a lot of the teachings throughout religious texts and spiritual texts are kind of pointing to. And I think that maybe this is the reason that we have some religious traditions and practices that have just decided, well, it's no good, just cut it in half. We're going to split it. You have your material body right now, but then you have the spiritual existence that's something completely different. And And your body and your materialness, that's not important at all. What's really important is this spiritual practice. So they develop things about shame, or ignoring the body, or punishing the body for desire, or anything that brings you out of what that tradition would consider to be a spiritual practice. We do that even today. You know, see, the spiritual teacher, in their vehicle with the Namaste bumper sticker in the car line at McDonald's, and you judge. And we have this notion of what's acceptable spiritual practice and what's not, and should be somehow denied. And I think that stems from that same experience of, I have this belief that I have an individual experience of love that doesn't match what other people are saying about it. And so a lot of the practice of learning what it means to love everybody is this reconciliation of my beliefs about who I am in this world and how love has affected me, and a larger truth to what it could be and how it does work, how it is working all the time. Maybe this is getting a little abstract. So I guess to make it easy, it's hard to love someone if they are participating in activities or doing something that you find to be reprehensible, or disgusting, or morally corrupt, or morally bankrupt. But it's also difficult to love when we see our own behaviors as not adding up to what we think we should be doing. It's equally true. So here it is, where we see this opportunity for reconciliation. Is this judgment isn't just about the other, it's also applies to the self. And so now you have this place where judgment is separating you even from you, disconnecting you from yourself. So it's easy to understand how it can disconnect you from others, this concept of others. So, when you watch Dr. Phil, and Dr. Phil says, well, you're going to love someone, you got to learn to love yourself. And everybody slow claps. Yeah. There is truth there, that the path forward into releasing, not discernment. Discernment and judgment are two different things. I can discern the things that I find to be beneficial, healthy, loving, and kind, and compassionate from the things that I see being damaging and destructive. And I can work towards the prior and help to stop or ease or end the latter. That's the work we have to do. That's the work of loving compassion, loving kindness. That's the work of appreciative joy. That's called mudita in the Pali teachings of the Buddha, which means to love someone else's happiness. Like these practices do include discernment, but judgment is this finality of the wall of separation, and that's different. And so learning to keep a mind of discernment, but a heart of non-judgment, that's where the work is in the love everybody. And this is coming up for me this morning in this. I'll give you a little example of what I'm talking about. Part of my personal healing has included understanding that as much as I may believe that I am a really skilled communicator, because I can speak well, I talk good, um, doesn't actually mean that I'm very skilled at communicating with people in my life the things that I need, or the ways in which I um, have boundaries. And so there's the dichotomy of understanding that I can speak well, I'm articulate, but yet I can't communicate very well, very kindly, very compassionately, some of the times when I'm feeling hurt or feeling sad or upset or rejected. I can be articulate, but I'm articulate with my wound. I'm articulate with an abiding sense, a weaponized sense. And that's not communication in the way that I would like. So I have this experience now of embarrassment, shame, guilt, and those feelings coming up actually feed my lack of communication, my improper communication. So then I double down. So I do all this work in my life to try to learn how to be gentle and kind, even when I'm feeling threatened or attacked or triggered into um, a defensive response. But then as soon as I mess up and I don't have clear boundaries and I don't communicate the feelings of imposition or the feelings of um, rejection or abandonment or whatever those feelings come up, then I call upon my defense mechanisms. And that includes, projection, um, sidestepping my own feelings to point blame at somebody else. Uh, it quickly goes from like, I don't feel included or feel very good about what's happening. Pretty much 0 to 60 to I'm out of order. You're out of order. This whole courtroom's out of order. It goes right to, well, capitalism is the problem, which is just another more woke or leftist or political informed way of saying original sin. I'm not the problem at all. We're born into this. And there's a lot of truth there. Capitalism is the problem. But next. To get back to the point is, this morning I realized I was having feelings of abandonment or rejection with something surrounding the work that I do. And in the discussion around that, I felt myself projecting how upset I am at these things. And then I realized I had a laundry list of resentments that I had been collecting that are there. And that wasn't very helpful. And it was creating judgment, not discernment. And it all came from my lack of attention to myself, my lack of attention to my needs. And that's one of the foundations of love, everybody. To pay attention to the ways in which we can, in any moment, stop and take a few breaths and speak with truth in that moment. The defensive mind will speak in fact, but the loving heart will speak in truth. And learning the difference, that's how we can learn to love. So I want to go back one more time before we close out today and spend a little bit of time with Bell Hooks' Appalachian Elegy. I'm going to do number 23 again. We've done it each day this week, and I think I'm going to keep doing it because there's something really pivotal about this in this story that Bell Hooks is giving us about their home place of Appalachia, which is also this deep exploration into where home is for us. And it's called Poetry in Place. And
I'm gonna listen, but I'm gonna start walking.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for the great conversation this morning.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. This, helps me a lot. Just hearing how you're working through your stuff. So,
Awesome. Thanks,
thank
Michael. Yeah. Okay. Number 23. Bring Buddha to rest home in Kentucky hills, that outside each window a light may shine, not a guilt teaching tradition. Be balanced. Know loving kindness, end suffering, rejoice in the oneness of life, then let go. Carry nothing on your back. Travel empty as you climb steep mountain paths. So we've read this each day, and obviously there's some personal bias and interest here with the first two words of the poem by Bell Hooks being "Bring Buddha." And obviously I have this fascination with the idea, the concept, the consciousness of the Buddha. But this invoking of this consciousness by the poet in this poem and in this story of Appalachia is, I think, really a powerful way to understand what it is we can do in our own lives. Buddha is not a supernatural being. Buddha just simply means awakened one who has awakened to, and this is where the irony, the funny part comes in, awakened to the delusions of life. So it just means awareness. I can see this funny little game that I'm participating in. But it doesn't mean that I'm not going to continue to participate in some way. But understanding and having awareness of it means that I can speak from that heart of truth. And I think that that's what the Buddha was, the original, the one we know as the Buddha, Siddhartha, Gautama Siddhartha, what their understanding that they were teaching is this right here and right now, this place, this is all I know to be true. And even this is part of the illusion. Even this is going away. Even this is transforming, changing, temporary. And that understanding, I think, is one of the good pillars of the way we can bring that presence into our own practice, to see that this is doable. That's another reason I think that, if you are one who follows or believes or is invested in the Christian doctrines and stories of Christ as being the Son of God or the manifestation or an avatar of God, this was actually what got me in a lot of trouble in my Christian upbringing. I went to a Christian school, and they asked my parents to not re-enlist me in the following year after seventh grade or sixth grade. Fifth and sixth grade, they asked me not to come back for seventh grade. And it was because I insisted in my 11-year-old way that if Jesus came as a human being to this planet, if God came down as a man, then he didn't come to show us what we couldn't do. He came to show us what we could do, how we could be as humans in human bodies with human pain and human temptation and all those things. He came down into that human body to teach us that we could do this too. And what did he do? He washed feet. He fed the hungry. He gave solace to the mourning. He disrupted commerce when it wasn't benefiting all life and all people in the community. Those are things that I can do. Those are things you can do. But more importantly, it's the consciousness of the teachings of what he was saying. It's the consciousness of the teachings of all of these different teachers through all of these different traditions that comes back to the base teachings of you are connected. Within you is the experience of all life, and your ability to love that extends to all people and extends to all life as you know it. And once you enter into that loving state and release your judgments, you advance. Now, I don't know if advance in this case, we think of like, Tetris or Mario Brothers, like we advance to the next level. People think enlightenment is some sort of a ranking that you receive where you receive this high honor and then that's it. Like, but the Zen teachings tell us before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. It's not about leaving, but it's about coming to a new understanding, having a new perspective. And I think that inherently the teachings that get us there are compassion, loving kindness, witnessing joy. All of these things are helpful tools, but they are also logical outcomes of that ability to love. So love can bring us there, and all of the things, all of the names of love can bring us into love. So having that understanding for yourself, like this morning, it's like sometimes when you work on something long enough and then you make a mistake or you backslide, whatever it is, it can feel monumental and it can feel such like a crushing defeat. Here I am thinking I'm doing everything I need to do, and then this comes up. Oh, it's useless. I'm never going to get out of this. And that is an opportunity, a wonderful opportunity to recognize that it was never about perfection. It can't be. It's got to be about acceptance, accommodation. It's got to be about understanding. And that's one of the teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh, is that understanding is a name of love. And to understand doesn't mean to contain knowledge of. It means to be open to the experience of. When I say I understand you, I'm not saying I know everything about you, but I'm saying that when you are sharing with me, when you are present with me, I understand that you, just like me, desire connection, safety, love, comfort, and that is the understanding that brings love. And I also understand that you're going to, and I'm going to, speak and act in ways that are sometimes sharp and pointy and rough and imperfect. And knowing that, that's a pathway into compassion, I think. So thanks for being here this morning for the talk. Let's have another few moments of breath together before we rush off to save the world. I want to encourage you that if you are here listening, please communicate, share your experience. You can use the chat features on the various platforms during the sit to communicate with one another, but also leaving comments, sending messages, and sharing these practices with others is a good way for us to expand the voices that are participating in this, which really just enriches our entire experience of learning how to love everybody. It's hard to love everybody if you're only hearing one. So let your voice be heard. But not right now, because we're doing a moment of silence. Thank you all for being here. And in the loving tradition of Thich Nhat Hanh, since we evoked some of the teachings today, let's finish our meditative moment by allowing a smile to come to your face. Hariom.